Today you join me inside the 2020 Ford Explorer Limited, which has been completely redesigned for this model year. It comes with new features, new technologies, and probably most importantly, a new look on the exterior and the interior. But do all these changes actually make it a better competitor against cars from Toyota and Mazda and Nissan and whatever else you might be considering? Well, in today's video, I'm going to help you decide if this is the right mid-size SUV for you by walking you around not only the exterior and interior features and all the changes they've made, but also the powertrain, the performance specs, the infotainment, and everything you might want to know about the 2020 Explorer Limited. So let's get right into the video. Actually, before we do, fair warning, this is not going to be a normal review. I'm doing something special where the majority of the review is going to be focused on the interior, mostly because it's about to rain. Now, we are going to start this review off in the interior of the 2020 Explorer, but first I wanted to mention the doors on this car because they're actually kind of oddly impressive. It might be weird, but I'm actually impressed by the doors on this car and the fact that they extend so far out. That's kind of a rare thing in modern cars. Most of the cars I review only open just a little bit from the door, but here in the 2020 Explorer, they go all the way open. Makes it very easy to get in and out, which is actually complemented by these available leather trimmed with white contrast stitching, power adjustable seats that come standard in the Explorer Limited. They have just the right size side bolsters over here so that, again, when you're getting in and out of the car, it's very easy when you combine the doors and these side bolsters. But once you're actually inside, they do hold you in fairly well when you're actually out driving. So these seats are a lot nicer in the Explorer Limited than what you would find in a base model. But it's not the only thing they've upgraded. They've also upgraded, a variety of materials in the interior, such as these optional fake wood accent pieces along the dashboard that provide a somewhat more premium feel, as well as this nice, somewhat leather-wrapped 3-spoke steering wheel. And I say somewhat leather-wrapped because it's a bit of a tough leather. It definitely feels fake, and the stitching on it could be a little bit cleaner, but all around it is a fairly nice design for a car of this price range. Now, just behind that steering wheel, you're going to find the first piece of technology that they've added for 2020, and it's that gorgeous high-resolution screen on the gauge cluster. This screen is going to complement the infotainment system by providing a little bit more driver information and statistics while driving, and Ford also does offer an available 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster back there, but even without it, it does look good with the two analog-style gauges. We're going to spend a little bit more time on the technology in just a minute, but first I'd like to take a look here at the center console area, which is coated in this somewhat nice feeling silver type plastic material. It's not the most premium or luxurious material, but it is going to be very easy to clean and it feels fairly high quality. You do also have a nice feature that Ford puts in the majority of their models. It's this rotary style gear selector knob. So rather than a huge lever on the center console area that would take up the whole area and reduce, access to the cup holders and the storage, instead they've reduced it to this little knob right here. It doesn't take up nearly as much space and it adds to a very clean all-around design. It is really ergonomic design here, and as I said, storage, we do have a little bit of a box underneath this folding panel that includes a couple USB charge ports as well as more storage and a 12-volt power outlet. Now, because we're in the limited model, it is going to come standard with 3 separate 12-volt power outlets for all your power-associated needs. But you can also pay extra for a wireless phone charger on this center console area. And that would be a really nice way to reduce that tangle of wires you have in your car. But again, it is going to cost extra if you opt to have that. One small complaint I do have about this interior is going to come into play here with this general area between the center console area and the infotainment system. They just put in this plain matte plastic material. There's panel gaps. It feels very low quality and cheap, and the buttons just aren't laid out that well. There's this gloss black panel here. There's no screen, and it's all fairly cheap feeling and not laid out in a very comprehensive manner. So it is a very small complaint. I wish they would redesign this area right here, either with more screens or bigger buttons or better quality materials or just any number of things that I feel would really improve the center console area. This looks like it came out of something from a car a few years ago rather than 2020. But if you can ignore that, the rest of this interior in terms of the front seats is very comfortable, laid out fairly well, comes with decent quality materials, and all around I would say yes, it does compete pretty well with other cars in this segment. And clearly, just like the front seats do, the second row seats of the Explorer Limited have a few upgrades as well. Most notably, these leather trimmed second row captain's chairs. Now, when I say captain's chairs, that basically just means that you're not going to have a third seat in here that is, stuck on with one of the other chairs. So they're all movable. You have nice padded armrests here. It's all very comfortable. My one complaint is going to be that they're pretty small. This doesn't look like a small car from the exterior, and there's plenty of legroom and headroom in the interior, but in terms of the actual seats themselves, well, they're just a little bit thin. And obviously, I'm a thin person as well, so if I'm noticing that they're small, someone who's a little bit bigger than me, not gonna fit back here very well. They are probably about 2 feet across, and that's barely enough space for me. Someone who's any bigger than me, which is probably most people, not gonna be very comfortable back here. So that is a little bit disappointing. I was hoping for a little bit more back here in terms of the seats. But the third row offers a decent design as well, which, as you can see, offers 3 seats rather than the 2, and also folds down to provide a little bit more cargo access. And speaking of cargo space, that rear trunk area with the third row seats folded up does get 18.2 cubic feet of cargo space, which is pretty decent for a car of this size. But if there's one place that Ford did not cheap out on the interior of the 2020 Explorer, it's gotta be with this gorgeous infotainment system. I'm incredibly impressed right off the bat with the clarity and high resolution graphics of this system, and this isn't even the full size available 10.1-inch portrait tile screen, which would go basically from here all the way up to the windshield, essentially a huge screen, kind of similar to what you'd find in a Tesla. This is actually the smaller version, but it's still really, really good. As you can see, it does come with a lot of really cool features and is fairly easy to navigate. It is a touch screen, so you can go back and forth between your different screens just by tapping on it. So over here we have the navigation. It does come with an optional navigation system where you can zoom and swipe and tap just like you would on a smartphone, and it works pretty well actually, almost as good as many luxury cars that I review. Over here you can see the different apps and settings for the car, such as the Sirius XM that comes optional with this car, or you can add a device through the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, or Bluetooth connectivity that this system comes with. Over here are the settings for the car that involves not only the infotainment system but also the vehicle in general, so it allows you to select the different drive modes and all of that when the car is on. Something I'm noticing as well is that there is very little lag in this system. It's actually very fast. When you tap on something, it goes instantly to that screen. So if I were to, say, tap through all these really quickly, I think it would actually do a pretty good job. So it takes a second, but it's honestly not as bad as some systems I've been in. Now, my one complaint would be that there isn't a rotary dial to control all of this as well. Usually infotainment systems in cars also have a separate way of controlling it. If you maybe don't have a smartphone or you don't want to use a screen in the car, there is usually an alternate way of controlling the system, whether it's a little pad that you swipe on the center console area, or a little knob, or even physical buttons on the side. This system does not have that. You have to use the touchscreen, which some people might find disappointing, but again, this is a cheaper car, so you have to take what you can get. All around, I'm pretty impressed with what they put in here. Now, I did say we were going to focus on the interior of this 2020 Explorer, but we are going to take a quick look at the exterior, because how could you not? It's been completely redesigned. There's a ton of new features and technologies out here. So even though it's raining and there's lightning and there's a lot of traffic noise, bear with me because you don't want to miss some of the features out here. And the features start off in the front of the car with these new for 2020 standard LED headlights. I love the design of these. Very sharp because they're LEDs, so when you're parked up and the running lights are on, it's going to really look prominent out on the road. But when you're out at night, also going to have really good visibility because of those LED bulbs. The other things you have on the front of the car, I'm maybe not as big a fan of. It looks just a little bit messy for me. We've got a lot of chrome pieces going on here with the new redesigned Ford grille. We've got a bunch of somewhat unfinished looking vents here that are going to help cool the powertrain and improve aerodynamics. They don't necessarily fit well together. We've also got a functional vent down here with these turn signals. It just looks like a mess of different vents and different chrome pieces and doesn't seem very clean to me. And I definitely like clean car designs. But again, if you want to get rid of some of that chrome, you can pay to have a black mesh grille installed on models like the Explorer ST. That looks a lot smoother and a lot better in my opinion. Moving along to the side though, this is a lot cleaner of a design. They cleaned up the body lines a lot, made it look very smooth and muscular. It also comes with a variety of different wheel styles. You can pay to have either 19, 20, or 21-inch wheels installed. I'm actually a surprisingly big fan of this huge chrome design here with all these bright spokes. Really helps this car to stand out and look good in my opinion. Other things you get on the side of the car include all this matte black mud guards that are going to help protect your paint from rot, chicks, and damage like that. You've also got some gloss black here on the A-pillar and along in the back of the car that help create kind of a floating roof design, which again makes the side look a lot smoother. Then in the rear of the car, you've got LED taillights, dual chrome exhaust tips, and an available hands-free power liftgate. So all around for the exterior of the 2020 Explorer, clearly whether you like it or not is up to each person's own personal opinion, but you gotta admit, it does come with some really cool features. And things may not look quite as exciting under the hood, but there's actually a lot going on under here that's new for 2020. The Explorer is available with 3 different engine options actually. You can get either the base 2.3 liter turbocharged EcoBoost 4-cylinder engine, or if you want a little bit more performance, you can have a 3 liter twin turbocharged V6 with more horsepower. Obviously that comes in the upgraded ST Performance model. Or if you want more fuel economy, better MPG, you want to save a little bit of money on gas, you can also pay to have the Explorer Hybrid with a 3.3 liter hybrid V6. So there's a whole spectrum of performance to choose from, whether you want horsepower and performance or fuel economy and MPGs, which is really, really cool. They've also added some new drivetrains for 2020. It comes new with a 10-speed select shift transmission, that's an automatic. You can also get it with front-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, or new for 2020, rear-wheel drive, which is going to add another level of performance to that ST trim level. So it might not look very cool, but there is a lot going on under here that's important to know about. If you guys enjoyed this full review of the 2020 Explorer, make sure to check out some reviews I've done of similar cars, either by clicking on one of the video cards right there, or by just going ahead and subscribing and checking out my channel. But anyway, I'd also like to extend a huge shout out and special thanks to Firm and Ford at Countryside for allowing me to review this Explorer. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching.